So my name is Andy Stevens. This is Alberto. Uh, Thank you for joining our podcast tonight. This is our very first try, actually. We've never done this before, but just to give you guys some perspective here, there's a hint in
Ha ha
there.
ha! I got you.
So basically, this is our first time doing the podcast. We've been talking about this for quite a while, actually. I think at least the better half of a year now. And we've never really we probably came to the conclusion that, you know what, let's just do it. Just to give everyone an idea of the time period we're in. Right now, we're living COVID. It's actually August 11th, 2020. And we've been in quarantine for the last, I don't know, since March.
Five
Like,
months.
yeah, 5 months. Wow. So it's been very interesting. Just to give everyone some additional perspective, we actually live in Chicago. And there's been some crazy turn of events over here in the last couple 5 months. We've seen looting, we've seen rioting. Oh my God! Like, there's all these things happening with COVID. Kids, whether debates of kids going to school, people working remote. We've seen it all at this point, and I don't know. I think I'm not sure how the public feels about this, but I think at some point certain people feel very torn up about certain topics. And but anyways, that's going to be our topic of the night. It's pretty much to give you guys a perspective of what we're seeing now, and what our unbiased opinion is. So if you guys can just give me a sec here. So anyways, bro, feel free to jump in at any point.
Definitely, man. Yeah, you pretty much covered a variety of uh, situations that we've seen. At this day and age, with all the advancement we have in technology, we got foldable phones, we got Teslas, that can drive themselves, you know, autonomously, and we're still behaving like barbarians. It's like I think one of the main issues going on in this world, dude, is that a lot of people, I mean, thanks to the internet, thanks to social media, they have voices, and those
Right.
voices aren't silent anymore. They're out there, and you have people of various, you know, backgrounds with different points of view, like different ways on how to live life that really, don't appeal to the common citizen. It's like, because they're fine living their 9 to 5, lives. It's like waking up in the morning, making breakfast, going to work, going back home, taking care of your kids if you have any kids, uh, and just getting ready for the next day. It's like a lot of people don't really have the energy to really, uh, I guess, endure. How to cope with themselves. With all this craziness going on.
Yeah, I think I absolutely know where you're coming from. And we've talked about this before, right? So with everything that's going on, you know, be it as it may, I think at some point, e- even before COVID, probably, right? People just lost the avenue to know how to talk to one another,
Mm.
and it's hard to have a reasonable conversation with anybody without someone getting offended right away. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No. Exactly. Exactly.
So I can't really pinpoint as to what's causing that, or what led us down to that path. But I think deep down, and I'm not sure if our viewers would agree with us at any point, but um, I think deep down, what we have to do is honestly just talk with one another and figure out what the issue is, and of course, everybody's voice wants to be heard. I completely understand that. And I'm not sure what the answer is to that. What is a good way for people to have an avenue to express themselves? Like, for example, and this is regardless of any topic, everyone. We're being pretty open, as far
Mhm.
as where we're not really trying to hit a specific topic. It's just overall in general, like what we're seeing as two working guys that just living in Chicago. You know, I grew up in the city. Alberto did as well, and it can be pretty unforgiving sometimes. People just, I really don't know, like if one, whether it's New York or California or Florida, if there are certain states or cities that are more aggressive towards one another. But at least coming here from Chicago, like people are pretty pretty defensive at times, and we can never have just a decent conversation with one another. And I think I like to think that we had that at one point, in this country's history. People could just sit down, have their debates, and it didn't necessarily have to get violent, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just agreeing. Like, absolutely, that's
And
true.
unfortunately, now that we're living COVID right now, but one of the toughest things is, one, we can't see each other, right? And we're more distant than ever. And I think something I've seen pretty common online is uh, the age of the internet has brought in a lot of positive things, and I think right now we're living in a certain age where people have learned to express themselves and communicate over the internet. But you know, I would say they're I like to call them like ghost chatters,
Mm.
because your words are just, whatever they may be. People just tend to put things on there, and they think that there's no consequence to them, right?
Yeah, you know what, exactly. And what you just said right there is a perfect example. Like if you would say that to random people that weren't friends, and we would just meet up at the park or whatever, and
Right.
you would bring that into a conversation, they would automatically like just give you a dirty ass look. Oh, I'm sorry. They give you a dirty look and say, "Oh my god, I can't believe you said that." And like they won't even give you the time and day to like express yourself, saying like, "Hey, you know what? We're like, for you to apologize, say like, hey, you know what? I didn't mean to offend. I just simply call it like it is,
Right.
because that's exactly right. In social media, like we've it's good and bad. The good thing is that it reaches a lot of people, and meaning that you can find a whole bunch of people that share the similar interests, worldwide, than you would do, in your neighborhood, because in your
Right.
neighborhood, everybody's to themselves. Online, social media, like everybody's just out in the open, like you can be as free as you possibly can be, you know, and, you know, uh,
That's all right.
yeah, yeah.
No, I completely
um,
understand what you're saying. And uh just and I'm sure we've all seen it, right? Like people call it cyberbullying, or
mhm.
people just, like I said, like I call them ghost chatters. People put their comments on there, and they think that there's, people at some point it's good in a way, because you really see people are what people's mindsets really are at one
Yeah.
point.
Oh yeah.
But I guess the topic we're trying to drive home with everybody on our call tonight is we need to communicate more. And I don't know how else to drive that home, as much as possible. Like, how can we create a society where people can just,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, transparency is a whole different subject, maybe, but at
Yeah.
least get the conversation started without people getting so defensive and mad. And before you know it, they're ready, like, just to hit you with a brick.
No, no. I mean, absolutely. And what? I think one of the culprits in this is also egos. You know,
And that could be it too.
because you just see, like, if double headed, like obviously you take into consideration how people were raised, and you can know just on people's actions, how they conduct themselves out in public. You can, like, that
Right.
says a lot of a person. It's like, forget this whole, oh, my personality is bubbly, oh, my personality, I'm loud. Like, to me, though, those are just accentuations to who you are. Like for me, like how that saying goes, like actions speak louder than words. It's
Right.
like,
That's true.
yeah, like you can say, oh, I'm a nice guy, like I don't mess with anybody, boom, boom. But are you really a nice guy, or are you just saying that just
Mm.
so you can fit in with the group of people that you want to fit into?
That's an interesting point of view. I think everyone at some point in their life they've always tried to do something to quote unquote fit in, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because if you think about it, we haven't really changed since our ancestors. Like the cavemen, and if you believe the whole ape theory, where we evolved from apes, it's like we've always been grouped in tribes. You know,
Right.
like we have to. It's very hard to explain like in a very detailed manner, but I mean the short and simple of it is that in order for you to fit into a society, you have to arrange yourselves in groups, and in those groups
Yeah.
you have to intermingle one another, and that's how you make a society grow. you know
Right. Right.
like obviously you're gonna need two different people. You're gonna need introverts, and you're gonna need extroverts. Like there has to be a
True.
balance. Because if you have too many extroverts, you're gonna get some stuff done, but they're gonna be cutthroat.
Right.
If you get some introverts, they're not gonna be cutthroat. They're gonna be more like, hey, you know what? Let's put our minds on the table. Let's brainstorm. Get some ideas flowing. Like, hey, you know what? Like, hear your idea. Oh, okay. I agree with that idea. All right, let's go to the right. It's like, oh, that's a wonderful idea too. And actually putting those ideas into work.
Right.
That's the only way like an introvert business can flow like freely. But if you introduce an extrovert in it, like you're gonna knock out the whole feng shui of the whole operation. But I mean, you honestly,
That's
bro,
funny.
like you need it, because like we have to come to the conclusion that we need each other to survive. Like if
Oh yeah, absolutely.
like like for example, dude, let's say uh I don't know, some natural disaster hits, your house gets destroyed, right? Like
Right.
obviously, you're gonna feel pretty saddened, and you're gonna go ahead and make some calls, and I'm sure you're gonna be embarrassed because like all your shit's gone. Dude, it's like obviously you're begging for help. You're like you need some place to stay. Dude,
Right.
and it really shows how people are really connected in you. Like if you come up to them, say like, hey, you know what, man, like I'm going through this difficult times. Like, can you like can I stay over at your place? Like I'll I'll take care of myself. I'll like look after myself, clean up, boom, boom, whatever. Like
Right.
you'll feel that like I'm not here. But there's some people out there, bro, that take advantage of that hospitality. Like they'll make
Right.
themselves too comfortable. Like they'll let time pass, and the host family will be like, hey, like Eddie, are you gonna move any time soon? Like what's going
Right.
on? I mean, I can understand, like it takes time. Like if something of that magnitude happens to you, like it does take time for you to get on your feet, man. But let's say like you you live with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, you guys break up, you
Yeah.
know and
And
then
it happens all the time.
yeah, it's like you, if you stay over at a friend's house, like you have to be certain that that both you and the other party like see eye to eye, saying like, hey, you know what, I'm here
Right.
for you. Like I'm going out of my way to like welcome you into my house. Like all I ask in return is for you to like respect me, respect my boundaries. Like don't get
Right.
crazy. Man. But how many people out there are willing to have that type of conversation?
You know,
Because
it's very unfortunate too, right? Because
mhm,
you know, we we live in an age where other people's drama is our entertainment.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
like you see these shows like 90 Day Fiance, or you see these shows I can't remember the name of the show, but anyways, you know,
Dude,
you go on
Jersey
YouTube,
Shore, the Kardashians. Come on, man!
right?
Like all these people.
You
Yeah.
know, and if we're not recently, but I think it was over a year ago. I was on YouTube, right, and I saw this clip where this woman she invited somebody into her home. It was a couple,
Mm-hmm.
and they're having a hard time. And unfortunately, these people kind of just kamikaze their house.
Wow.
They kind of took over, and then poor lady, she couldn't get them out because there was some law. You know, I wish I could remember the state. I don't really remember
Mm-hmm.
the finite details, but anyways, you know, you see these cases over and over again of people screwing other people over, and us, you and me, the viewers of that, and I'm sure everybody else watching the same video, you're just you're kind of convinced that should that happen to you, someone comes to your door, you probably don't want to help them out
Mm-hmm.
because of what you saw online. Like that
No.
might happen. That might happen to me,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. But we don't really. So like, you know, going back into our conversations and everything, like number one, like people just are disinterested with helping one another,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very unfortunate because what happens? It could be you, it could be me. Like, you know, maybe you know, like something might happen to either one of us, and then we need each other's help, but there's always that thing in the back of your mind, this guy might screw me over.
Exactly. You know, man, and a lot of people would say like, hey, you know what? That's a very negative mindset. You know, it's like you shouldn't think that way because not everybody's the same. But that's just it, man. It's like even if you make the attempt of being open minded, you know, meeting new people, like you know, the people I mean, a majority of the people that I've met, you know,
Right.
like you know, I try to, no, not I try, like I'm as amicable, no, I'm just a very friendly person, you know, and like I'll like,
Oh
you know,
yeah, yeah, definitely. Same here.
yeah, no, definitely, you know, like I'll go out and say like, hey, like, whatever, like, hey, how you guys doing? You know, just keep it light, you know, and there's some people out there that, you know, really, you know, find it shocking that there's actual nice people out there that really, you know, like mean no threat. You know, it's like
Mm,
that they ask like
right,
genuinely like, hey, like how are you doing today? You know, instead of the the bland small talk saying like, oh, 'cause how many times do you hear people say like, oh my god, I hate small talk? But
right,
when you're barely, you know, like getting to know a person, like small talk is fundamental. You know, because like it lets both you guys have something to talk about, you know, instead of just
right,
being quiet and like looking around because then that's just awkward, you know.
right. You know, it's interesting you brought that up because right before COVID happened, you know, I was at work
Mm-hmm.
and I went to have lunch, and typically I always go out for lunch, and I I don't have a good habit of bringing lunch, so I tend to go out. But anyways, I had to go out, and that, you know, it just so happened that day I had to go drop off a letter at the post office. So, and you know, on
Mm-hmm.
my way there, I see this person crying outside the post office, and what really shocked me was that nobody was asking this person if they were okay.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of just broke my heart there for a second because I'm like, you know, like maybe they don't need help, but you know, like it takes you 2 seconds just to ask, "Hey, are you okay?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you can let that person's actions dictate what happens next. At least I did my part, and I just asked if you're okay. You know, like I think this came up in one of our conversations before, and this is I think this story is a little bit famous by now. You people have heard this story before, where there's the friend that, you know, out of the blue, he decides to message someone that he used to talk to like all the time, and then he texts the guy like, "Hey man, how you doing? I haven't talked to you in forever." And before you know it, they really hit it off, and they decide to hang out, and you know, and then that, you know, they kind of rekindled their friendship, you know, from their
Mm-hmm.
childhood. And the guy tells him, "You know what, man? I have something to confess to you." And he says, "Oh, what is it?" He says, "You know what? Um, I was going to commit suicide had you not messaged me."
Oh wow.
And for me, that was like, and you know what? And I don't know why that story was so impactful for me. Like to
Mhm.
this day, like out of the blue, maybe I'll just message some people that I just haven't talked to in a while. I'm like, hey, you know what? How you been? You know, especially during COVID right now.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll see people like they'll post like a picture of themselves or something. I'm like, and just you know what? I haven't. I'm just gonna ask how you're doing, and I think just like you said,
Mhm.
it catches people off guard
Yeah.
because people somehow have the expectation that, oh, you're messaging me, you must need something from me.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
It'll get me wrong too, right? Like
Mhm.
I've been guilty of that too, and I need to learn how to communicate better
Mhm.
with my friends, family. You know, like I'm guilty in all parts. You know, and
Mhm.
I'm sure all of us are, right?
Mhm.
Like I have cousins of mine, uncles, aunts that I haven't talked to in a while. You
Mhm.
know, and I try to be better every day about it, of course, right?
Mhm.
And same thing goes with friends. So, anyways, going back to that story I was just telling you. So I went to the post office. I mailed the letter that I intended to mail, and on my way back out, she was still there. She was still crying, and I just tapped her on the shoulder. Hey, how you doing? Are you okay? And she kind of just looked at me, kind of surprised, and like I just looked. I just told her, I just want to see if you're okay. And she's like, I'm okay. I'm like, okay. And I just walked away. You know, and
Mhm.
it just took people off guard because you know, for me, it's just like you don't know what someone's going through, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know. I just have empathy for people at some point.
No. Yeah.
Like I see what's happening with COVID right now, and a lot of people just don't have jobs, and like deep down, like I wish I had like the magic sword and I could do something about it. And like here, jobs for everyone. um, but yeah, like I tend to be a person that I have empathy for people
Mhm.
and the people that are around me, right? So yeah. Anyways, yeah. So going back into it, just like you said, people tend to be shocked when it comes from a good place. Like you legit care about that other person.
Mhm.
And just like I told you, I'm guilty of that too. Like I've had people reach out to me out of the blue, and like let's just say, like this one person that you and me both know from high school. I won't mention
Mhm.
any names, but out of the blue, they'll message me and like, Andy, can you help me build this $5,000 gaming PC? And I'm like, what?
Oh goodness.
Like, or Andy, can you help me hack my PSP?
Mhm.
And this was years ago, right? At this point, I just felt like, hey, like a hello would have been nice.
Right. Yeah.
Like, hey, what's up? How are you doing? How's life? How's your kid? Or something, right? And um, so I being that on the receiving end, I definitely
Mhm.
can comprehend how people feel when people reach out to them. Like, oh, you haven't
Yeah.
talked to me forever. You must need something. I'm like,
Mhm.
and I and like I said, I try to be better at it. I try not to
Yeah.
be that person.
Right.
So,
Right.
oh man,
No,
it's
I mean, I absolutely agree with you, and I get you, man. But it's just honestly, man, like it's just the way that we're wired, man. It's like we're always perceiving the negative side of things instead of the positive sides. Like we always think about like, oh, like I'm getting this call from this person, like they need something, you know,
right, right, right,
and
right.
like it's bad to think that way, but in a way, like it's understandable,
Yeah, that's true.
like that's why like I think you just have to be a little bit more patient with people, like say like like give them the benefit of the doubt, automatically
Yeah,
say like,
right,
all right, you know what, like, hey, what's up, boom boom. If they want something, just say like, just hear them out and just be honest with them, saying like, hey, you know what, I mean, you don't have to be bogus, because that's how you burn
right,
bridges, but you can just
right, right,
say,
right,
you know what, just make something up, like just don't like make it, just let it be short and simple, but just make it believable. Saying like, hey, you know what?
right,
Really busy with my job. It's like that. That's something that I used to do in my spare time. Like I really, whatever. Like I lost a touch. Like it, whatever. There's a million excuses like to give that person. Man, because like
right.
if that person like only like decided like, hey, I oh I remember like back in high school, he used to program PSPs. Like they be like reach out to him 10, 15 plus years later, like,
Right.
hey, do you still do that? Like instead of saying like, hey, you know what? I saw a picture like with a little boy. Like, is that your son? Is that like who is he?
Right.
Like
Right.
break the ice. Like reintegrate yourself to that person.
Right.
You know?
I think that's a great message you just gave all the viewers.
Yeah,
Just ease your way in there if you have
yeah,
to.
man.
You know, because definitely being that person on the other side, you're just like, really.
Yeah.
So I guess just to give our viewers a little bit of context here, for everyone that doesn't know, way back when we were in high school, um, I had a little bit of a passion to hack PSPs, and I still like putting Super Nintendo on there and Genesis ROMs. I mean, that's something I definitely don't do that much anymore. It's just something I like to tinker with on my spare time. And then back then, I was really big on building gaming PCs. But now that we're older with life and work, there's less time for that. But I try to squeeze in there a little bit of time to do my little tinkering. Maybe I'll show those on one of our future episodes here. We'll do a gaming cover.
Got the sucker right here.
Yeah. So for everyone that doesn't know here, we both got the PlayStation Classic. Honestly, I was very thrilled when they announced it, and unfortunately, Sony only put like, what was it, 9 games or something, 20 games. Like, anyways, the games that they put on there were very few games that were what we call memorable. So I have a pretty big PlayStation collection, and I ripped, I don't know how many of my games, but I ripped a ton of my PlayStation games. I have them all in a big box, and I think it took me 2 weeks to do that. And we put them all in the PlayStation Classic, and yeah. So, anyways, yeah, it's going back into our conversation here. Um, so I think that's the main driver of our message tonight is, let's expand the communication between one another here. Not just, of course, not just Chicago, right? We mean this for like wherever you're at, wherever you live. Like, let's be a little bit more open minded when we talk to one another. I think people today, like it. I don't want to say that people get offended easier today, but
Mhm.
what I would say is just take an extra second to just let the person finish what they're saying, and then give your honest feedback about how you feel about that. And just have a decent conversation. I think conversations can go a very long way, honestly. And to Alberto's point, you know what? Honestly, that story about the guy reaching out to me to build this gaming PC that was like $5,000. I was in my early 20s, I think, when that happened. And honestly, like Alberto said, I should have had more patience. I should have heard him out, and maybe we could have rekindled the friendship there or something, right? I was more like
I
pretty
mean,
young and naive, and I'm like, hey, get out of here.
yeah, man, but I gotta play devil's advocate, dude.
Okay, fair enough.
Like the dude was trying to spend or upgrade his computer with, with 5 grand, you
Right,
know, worth of stuff. And it's like,
right, right.
and he never ever mentioned, or correct me if I'm wrong, but he never actually like discussed um, the like just how you say like a small
Service,
payment,
a service
like
fee.
right service. And like, hey, you know what,
Right.
man, I'll give you 200. Honestly, dude. Well, to me, I think if the guy would have paid you like 500 right then and there, not know, oh, I'll give you, or correct me if I'm wrong, but like I don't know, just to me, I think $500 like it's good money to like build a PC, but if it's more, then go ahead. But I'm just using that number just as an example.
Right. So I guess, for our viewers here, so what ended up happening was, he reached out like, hey, I got $5,000. I want to build this amazing gaming PC. And, I like to be pretty transparent, right? Right,
Hmm.
Roberto? And just so everyone knows, like, this was a time in my life when I think I was working 2 jobs. I was struggling to, like, make my way through college. And it wasn't necessarily the college; it was just like the experience, right?
Hmm.
I had to drive to. It took me an hour to drive to school every day, an hour back and forth, from what I remember. And
Hmm.
I was pretty tight on money, and um, so you mentioned, oh, hey, I want you to help me build this PC because I heard you're like the best. I'm like, I don't know about the best. I wonder where you're hearing that from. But I told him like, hey, listen, like, yeah, I can help you out, but like, I'm gonna charge, and I think it was relatively cheap. I think I told him like, back like, just to give everybody context here, I was making minimum wage,
Hmm.
so I think I told him, hey, I'll charge you like 10-15 bucks an hour for like 3 hours. And so what would that have been really, like 60 something dollars maybe, like,
Hmm.
well, whatever. So um so I told him, hey man, like, for less than 100 bucks I'll build the whole thing for you. And he said, oh well, I was hoping you could hook me up. I'm like, hook you up, what does that mean? Poor naive Andy over here.
Uh-huh.
And on the house. I'm like, on the house. I'm like, dude, I barely have 20 bucks for gas in my car. So I think that's why I shut him down.
Dude, nah, man.
Because for me, like,
Yeah.
even just a couple hours of my time back then, like,
Hmm.
I had papers due. I had to like go to work, and yeah, it was just, I was like the living dead back then.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I'm pretty sure that even if you would have taken the job, like, I'm pretty sure you would have taken your time building that. I mean, taking into account like what your school work, and
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure
definitely.
that I'm sure this time you were already a father, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think my son Nathan was 2. He was 2 at the
yeah,
time.
and honestly, like, I don't think that he would have been very cooperative with you taking your time, building his $5,000 computer,
Right, and maybe I wouldn't say I had any resentment at the time,
Oh no,
but
I mean,
I definitely felt like um, I was not in a good place financially. Like I said, I had 2 jobs, was going to school, and uh, that was one of the hardest things I ever had to do my whole life.
mhm,
And but for me back then, like, my time was gold,
yeah,
and just just so everybody knows here, like, during that time in my life, like, I was really isolated. Like, I didn't talk to anybody. Even Alberto
mhm,
here, like, we're best friends, and we didn't hang out. Like, I think maybe we hung out like maybe like 3-4 times during my whole college experience, because it was like, you know now that we're older now, and I could
mhm,
admit it, like, dude, I didn't have 20 bucks to like even go hang out. Like, I was like that tight on money. Like, for me,
mhm,
like, every dollar mattered.
yeah,
So but like you said, I should have like been more patient with the guy, heard him out. Being an early 20-year-old, should I have explained to him that, hey man, like, I can't do things for, but I think maybe the age is part of it too. My early 20s,
mhm,
like, maybe I was a little bit like nervous to say, hey, this is my rate to do this.
mhm,
Maybe I didn't, because maybe at that time I didn't feel like I had the validation to say, hey, like, again, we're going back to communication. I didn't know how to communicate back then
mhm,
and
yeah,
say, this is what it costs for me to do this work for you,
yeah,
and and then, of course, like, as we're wrapping up our topic tonight for communication, if you have a friend that reaches out to you, and yeah, definitely, like, things don't come for free.
mhm,
I think that's something that you and I encounter pretty often. Can you hook it up? Yeah, I'll
mhm,
hook you up, but come on, guys, not for free.
yeah. No,
Right.
absolutely, man. Like, honestly, man, I don't know if it's been 10, 12, 13 years that happened, dude, but you just gotta let it go, man, because you did yourself a favor. You didn't take on that project because the guy, seriously, he didn't deserve it. Man, because he wasn't gonna look out after you. He was just looking out for a handout, saying like, hey, basically, do my computer for free, you know, thanks, thanks for doing it, and I'll talk to you in another 12 years or another 5 years whenever, I don't know, like his intercooler like messes up or whatever, you know.
Right. Right. And that's something that Alberto knows very, very well. Like I like to take care of the people that do work for me. Like I take that to heart. I like taking care of people as much as I can. Especially when it comes to side work and stuff like that. Like I like to take care of people. Like I know what's fair. Boom. Thank you. Great job. Like
Mm-hmm.
because again, being on the receiving end the other way, like it's definitely not it doesn't feel nice. um anyways, and it's just not just for me. I've seen it happen to other people too. Like,
Yeah.
hey man, can you give me an oil change on the house? I'm like, this guy, like, I mean, I'm not a mechanic, but I've seen it happen
Mm-hmm.
with our mechanic buddies. Hey man, I need
Yeah.
some new brakes. Can you hook it up? I'm like, really? Throw the guy a bone.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think as far as our communication segment, I think our real message tonight is, like I said earlier, is just for all the people out there, whether you're in New York City, Chicago, it doesn't have to be a major city either. I like to think that maybe if you're from a small town, everybody knows each other. We don't know each other here. So, I mean, no, maybe I should rephrase that. I think we do run into people sometimes.
No, I mean, it is. If you think
Right.
about it, it is a small world.
Right.
I just think at this very moment, it's just too many people, too many voices, and not enough time, and people are just prone to just getting easily ticked off over just slight disagreements. You know, man? Because
Yeah.
I
Yeah. And
mean,
that's gotta stop. That's gotta change.
I mean, it has to, but that's the thing. People are just lazy. They don't want to. They rather just get pissed off and you know mad, upset, just angry because like there was a study a few years ago where they said that it takes more energy to be mad than it does
Mm,
to be happy. It takes less
okay.
muscles to smile that it does to frown. You know, man, and that
Huh.
says a lot.
You know
That
what?
says a lot, dude.
I think that's very interesting
Mm-hmm.
because, like, especially when we are in high school, like I didn't have the best attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, even with my fiance right now, she tells me, like, I can never imagine seeing you as an angry person.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be, like, angry. I don't know if it had to do with, being a teenager and, going through your hormone stage or whatever the case may have been. But I was definitely not the nicest guy. And now I always smile and, I'm a much happier person now. And I think maybe because I've found myself in the universe, I
Mm-hmm.
know what my passions are.
Mm-hmm.
But back then I was just, it's not, I can't say that I didn't want to be happy. I just,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say that something corny like I didn't know how to be happy.
No, 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 dude.
But
Because
uh,
honestly, like that makes sense, dude, come on, we're teenagers, like we're barely getting to know, you know what we are, and
right,
it's a pivotal age, in our lives where we're just introduced to a whole lot of experiences and we just don't have, the experience to say like, hey, you know what, this is good for me. Oh, no, this is bad for me. No, this is good for me. It's like we're in a constant, you know, stage of like metamorphosis. You
right,
know, where we're getting introduced to alcohol. We're getting introduced to peer pressure, to to self-esteem issues, bullying, all this, and we get schoolwork, and
right.
we have to put on a happy face and say like, oh yeah, like this is no problem, like I'm happy. Like, nah, dude, it's a lot to ask for a person, especially in
That
that moment.
you just brought up a very interesting point that I
Mm-hmm.
think really drives home. Every day I go on social media,
Mm-hmm.
people are putting pictures of great things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we never post pictures of when we're hurting. when we're going through a hard time. And
Because people are dismissive. Because if they see that, and I'm sorry to cut you off, dude,
oh
but
yeah, you're on it.
but if people just don't care about that. It's like you always hear people say like, oh, like if you need anything, just holler. It's like, dude, I mean, I'm the type of person that if I would see something like that on your page, on your wall, whatever, like
Right,
I'm not gonna comment. I'm gonna reach out to you. If I don't have your cell number, like I'll reach out to you through Messenger because that's
right.
private. Like I don't want to say like, oh, are you okay? Like, is everything all right? As the comments, like I'm not looking for writing my comment and seeing if you like it, if you're upset, if you're mad, if you're happy with my comment. Like, no, dude. Like to me, like if we're gonna talk, if you're gonna talk to somebody personally, you have to do it privately. You know
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and because like if you don't, like that person that's feeling vulnerable at that moment, like he or she is not going to feel comfortable in talking about his or her feelings, dude. So what's going to happen is that person that's depressed, like it's going to stay depressed and is going to hate herself or hate himself even more because he's not able to live a normal life without pressure,
Yeah.
dude.
So this tries back to like to what I was just saying. Like
Hmm.
people can easily forget how what a person may be going through because people are usually putting posts like, "Oh, look, we had a great, wonderful weekend," and
Hmm.
you see this beautiful picture with an
Hmm.
amazing background, and again, like
and
even
and
then,
don't forget the quote.
and a beautiful quote, and what I want to drive home with people is, even though you're seeing that, still check up on them.
Hmm.
You may not know what's happening on the other end, especially if it's someone you're close to.
Yeah,
That's
no,
even more important.
absolutely.
like like I hit you up all the time. I'm probably the worst person for social media. I almost never post anything. It's
Hmm.
actually a miracle we're making this podcast because I never post anything. And it's not that I don't want to. It's just
You're busy.
I'm busy,
I
and
get it. I get it, man.
I have my little projects here and there, and I got
Hmm.
work, and I just don't. You know what? I just don't make it a huge emphasis to like it. I mean, it's not that I'm a super private person. I mean, I do like my privacy, of course, to some extent. But no, it's just I'm just not good at posting stuff online.
Yeah.
So just so everybody knows, Alberto had me make like an Instagram account, a Snapchat, like maybe 2 years ago, and I've never posted one thing.
I
I
know, man.
literally just used it to communicate with people. But that's about it. So yeah, you have to forgive me. I'm just so bad at that.
I
But
know,
I
man.
do enjoy posting things
Hmm.
if it means that someone out there is gonna see what I put on there is somewhat valuable.
Hmm.
Or they'll think it's cool. I think one of the few posts I ever like, like I like putting my cool little hacks, like, oh look, I hacked my Sega Saturn this
Yeah.
weekend, or look,
Hmm.
check this out. Or, I like doing that.
Dude, honestly, bro, honestly, and I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but you have one of the greatest ideas that you can use your Instagram page like to like flaunt. I mean, not flaunt, but just like to show it off in a good way, saying like, "Hey, this is a project that I worked on." Like
Hmm.
basically, like take pictures of the systems that you have. Like take pictures of them while they're on, so you can show people like, "Hey, it's
That's a great
been
idea. I've never
you know
considered doing that. I have a lot of stuff. Just so everybody knows here, I have a lot of games. Probably more than I should have.
most
I'm a
definitely,
retro game collector. Just
most definitely."
so I do enjoy my retro games, and like I think I kept buying PlayStation up to the PlayStation 3. I didn't get it to the PS4, unfortunately. I
Mhm.
was a little hurt by that because they canceled Silent Hill. Once they canceled Silent Hill, I'm like, you know what? You can keep your PlayStation. No, but it's a great console. I'm sure I'll buy one later, and
Uh-huh.
I'll retroactively collect once PlayStation 5 comes out. So, well, maybe it's a great idea. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll start. You have to teach me though how to use Instagram.
Mhm.
Maybe we'll make a podcast and show people how to use Instagram. Because you know what, guys? So for those who don't know, I'm in IT. It's my passion, and even though I'm perceived as a technical person, I don't really know how to use Instagram. But then again, I haven't really tried. I'm sure I'll figure it out. I'm sure it's pretty
It's
easy.
yeah, it's easy, man. Honestly, you just post pictures, videos, and that's it. You
I
just
see.
you just leave them there for people to like, comment, share. That's
Got
it.
it. So yeah, everyone, I think at this point we've covered the main topics of our discussion here, and definitely let us know your questions, your opinions down in the comments below. We're gonna be posting this on YouTube. If Alberto wants to post this anywhere else, I'm gonna ask him for help because I don't know how to do that.
I mean, yeah, dude. But honestly, I wish we would have talked more about uh, the looting,
Oh
what's
yeah,
going
we
on
could we could
right now.
definitely talk about it.
Okay. Awesome,
Yeah,
awesome.
so just so everybody knows, like our podcast is not scripted. It's just we just try to make it as organic as possible. We don't have like a set like what would you call it, a curriculum? Like we don't have like we're gonna talk about A B C. Let's make sure we just knew that we wanted to talk about communication and the state of the world that we're currently in right now. But yeah, let's definitely talk about the looting. So just so everyone knows, like I mentioned earlier, it's August 11th. What was it, Sunday night going into Monday, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we just had some looting here in Chicago, and honestly, I don't know if Alberto, but I don't know about Alberto, but like I was not expecting it. Yeah, it
I
completely caught me off guard.
it yeah, it completely got me off guard too. Was not expecting it, but now, but you know what, man? I feel like I have trusted too much into being okay, being safe. Living in my own little bubble that I forgot that there's other people out there that like to to stir shit up. Man, and unfortunately, man,
Don't get me wrong, like I'm sure you're seeing it too, and I'm sure I'm seeing
mhm.
it. So me and Alberto were part of a local neighborhood group. I won't mention which one specifically, but people are really scared about what's happening.
It's an annoying group. I mean, to be honest, because like they post some post videos of informative, like trying to keep everybody aware if
Right,
there's suspicious vans or if there's suspicious people walking around. But I would say like that's 20-25% of the posts they put up there. The rest
right.
is just like just crazy talk, like they just post up, oh hey, I'm selling pupusas, 10 for $5 and all that, dude. Like I don't understand, like is it a group where we talk about issues that are
Oh,
going
I
on in the
see what you're
community,
saying.
or yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
is
yeah,
this, man?
yeah. I mean, honestly, to be completely honest with you, my perception
Hmm.
of joining that group was just so that I knew what was happening in the neighborhood.
Hmm.
That's the only reason I joined that group.
Yeah.
And but to your point,
Uh-huh.
it's a little bit too much sometimes. Like there's no because anyone can just post anything online, right? We go back to the ghost chatter,
Oh my god,
right?
yes, dude, yes.
And people just put a lot of misinformation,
Hmm.
and just so everybody knows, like when they started eluding the first time, what was it,
Yeah,
back in April?
May 31st.
May 31st.
I
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not, I
Hey,
clearly
it
I
was a
don't
Sunday,
I
dude.
don't keep track of time that well. But anyways, the first time they started looting,
Mhm,
I kept a close eye on that group because I was seeing it. The
mhm.
looting was coming to our neighborhood,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and I could see the huge group of people like coming down the street. And that's when I was really like looking at the group because honestly, like those first 2 nights of the looting, I couldn't sleep that night. I was awake the whole night. I was ready for them to break in the
Mhm.
house. That's how I really felt.
As
Like,
So it was too, man. Like I was legit scared. You know, like I remember that day. I I was watching the news. I was watching Facebook. Like there were just video after video after video, just like people just like like breaking into stores and just like taking stuff, dude. And
right,
I I was scared because I'm like, okay, if there's not enough police to go around to all these like affected areas, like, dude, we're in a huge problem here because if
yes.
the police can't take care of this, like, dude, that's like the let me see, like I was gonna use an analogy from the movie A Bug's Life. It was
Okay.
yeah, it was I remember it was like the bad cockroach. He was like, hey, like if we let these slaves, and I'm sorry to to use that word to describe people, right? But I mean, whatever. So he said that if these slaves wake up and realize that there are more of them than there are of us, like they're gonna overtake us,
Hmm.
And the guy was very adamant in telling his little minion like, hey, we need to keep these people in check. I mean, or we need to keep these bugs in check. Saying that no, like if they decide to like wander off and like build their own like community or be um, uh, by their lonesome, like that it's gonna be okay. Like no, like we got to make an example out of that ant and kill it. And that's basically um, what I'm trying to say here. It's like the people in power, the politicians, like they never like the thought never crossed their mind that something like this were to happen in Chicago and in these other major cities in the U.S. It's
I
like,
see what you're saying. That the people are sick of it. They're done.
yeah, they're sick of it, because and you know what, they have every right to be sick of it, but I just feel that what we're doing right now, I mean, it's gonna sound crazy, right? But I feel like it's necessary, but it's bad at the same time.
I,
Because like,
you know, I,
mhm,
I, I definitely want to like. I don't know what the right answer is. Um, I think if we look at the history, like not just the U.S., but like the world as a whole,
mhm,
how many times have we seen revolutions start?
mhm,
And actually, I would think that maybe things back then were probably like way more intense than what they are now. Because back then, maybe a revolution was like go kill everybody that's in government or something.
yeah,
Or I mean, I don't know. I can't think of a firm example right now. But yeah, I mean, with what's happening in Chicago, like when the whole looting started, like um, I agree with the message, but I'm not sure if I agree with like destroying people's property. Like
mhm,
what I'm trying to say is this: is so that morning, no, not that morning, but like by the mid afternoon, um, I drove and went to go get a couple things, and the only thing that I saw were all the mom and pop shops.
mhm,
They had bats. They had the big Dobermans with them,
mhm,
and I get it. The people are tired. The people are tired of being bullied around,
mhm,
right? And you know, but I think the message may have been some of that message was delivered to the wrong people.
mhm,
Because, like for example, like I drove down Pulaski and Archer, and like why did you guys loot and raid Max's Tacos? The poor
mhm,
guy who was barely running his business.
mhm.
Like he's not big government.
Yeah,
Like or Super Mall. Like who's in Super Mall? A bunch of mom and pop shops
mhm,
who are probably barely making it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, um, yeah. And again, you know what? And with the looting that happened on Monday, again, like I agree. People should protest. Right? That's your God given right. But the looting part, I just feel like I don't like seeing people get hurt. That's the part that kind of just drives me home a little bit because so
Mhm.
like looting happened Monday. I woke up, my phone was blowing up. You texted me too. Like, hey, did you see what happened? I'm like, what happened? What? I had no idea what happened. And
Uh-huh.
as I'm reading the comments, right? I think the mayor she gave a speech in the morning,
Mhm.
and I'm reading the comments live. And what I kept reading over and over again, they called me off of work. There's no work to go to.
Mhm.
That really hit me home.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you guys just destroyed. I don't know. I mean, there's too many stores to name,
Mhm.
but in each one of those stores that they looted, there were employees ready to show up to work that day,
Mhm.
and they're trying to make a week's paycheck. You know, the working person really drives me home because, you know, as you know, like I you know, like I wasn't born rich, right? I come from a working family, and when I see these families being affected, it's kind of like, wow, like people are trying to make it, but you're taking it away.
Yeah.
So like I said, that's what I'm saying right now. Like I don't know what the right answer is. I clearly understand that people are upset. They want to do something. I don't know what the right answer is, and I'm sure some people will really argue with me, and they'll say, "Well, looting is the only option." I don't know about that. You know, I'm not entirely convinced that looting is the option. I'm sure there's other things we can do. We're creative people. There's other ways that we can get our message across.
Well, I mean, see that's the problem,
But
man.
that's the thing, you know, like
Mhm.
how often has our history shown us that violence is the only answer to get things done?
But see,
And I
but
get it.
why? Because nobody wants to have constructive conversations. Why? Because we're tribal. You know, like let's take it into consideration. This presidential run. All right, we have, dude. Again, this is 2016 all over again, but
Right,
just 2.0. Okay, all right. So back in 2016, we had Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump
right,
as
right,
presidential candidates to run the United States of America. Okay,
right.
all right. Everybody thought, oh, we're gonna get a first woman president. Everybody
Yeah,
wasn't.
I would say that's pretty accurate what everyone thought here in Chicago. I mean, at least I think that, at least the people around me
Mhm.
here in Chicago, I feel that that was the perception. She's
Yeah,
going to be our
no,
first woman president. Right,
exactly. You know, man. And all right. And before I continue, I'm just gonna add this to the mix. Okay, I find it very wrong to simply vote on a person just because they're gonna be the first, blah 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 blah. You know,
oh, I
like
see.
when Obama was running for the presidency, like everybody was thinking the same thing they did with Hillary Clinton. Like, oh, he's gonna
Oh,
be
I
the
see what you're
first black
saying.
president. You know, dude,
Got
it's
it,
like,
got it.
and automatically like people wanted him to win just because of the mere fact that, oh, he's gonna be the first black president. You know, dude, it's like
Mm,
he was. Oh, I mean, like, with all due respect, you know, I respect Mr. Obama. Like, dude, I mean, he got to be president of the United States for 8 years. So I mean, he's done something with his life. You know, like, who am I to like judge his life? You know, the way he conducts. Like, no, dude. You know, at the end of the day, like, being president, like, for 4 years, 8 years, you're not gonna change a damn thing
right.
if they don't give you the access to make a change, and B, if within the next presidency you lose it, and we vote another clown in, and um, just destroys everything that you created in 4 years, you know.
I see what you're saying.
So all right, dude. So check this out. Okay, so the night, you know, that we voted in November back in 2016, everybody was shocked that Hillary Clinton lost. They were like, how the hell did she lose? The numbers were adding up.
Right.
She was winning states, but at the end of the day, Trump won because of the electoral vote, right? or
Right.
some BS like that. Okay, all right. So picture this: Trump won, boom. All right. Within the year, dude, like they scandals every week saying like, oh, Russia hacked
Oh yeah, yeah.
the voting
I'm
booth.
I'm sure the world views us as like a big reality show.
Dude, yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
I
yes,
know.
dude. You
I've heard
know,
that lots of times traveling. When I travel internet, I
mhm,
mean, obviously we're now we can't travel, but
yeah.
when I was traveling and people knew I was American, like, and that the first question people ask you is, "How do you feel that Trump is your president?" I don't have an opinion. Like, I don't follow politics.
Yeah, I mean, and see, that's the thing, dude. It's like the politicians. Maybe this is a conspiracy theory, right? But I just feel that the politicians they love when they hear the average working person say like, "Oh, I don't follow politics," because in their eyes, they're like, oh, "Okay, like, see, this person's a sucker," like I'm gonna keep vote. I mean, I'm gonna keep
Mm.
being in office because I'm the only choice, and then there's a limited number of voters that always vote, and they're gonna vote for me. They're clueless, because they're not educated in in politics, you know.
I mean, to be fair with you, like I think there's a lot of opportunities too for people to know, probably to educate themselves better. Like with
Mm-hmm.
like for example, like you just mentioned the electoral college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of people didn't really know what is that process, what did it mean, because just like you said, people were very convinced that Hillary was going to be our president,
Mm-hmm.
and by her not winning, people wanted to know what was the process that drove that.
Yeah, yeah.
Now it became like, well, what is that? I've never heard of that before, even though
Mm-hmm.
we've had it since like forever.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly. Yeah. And but
and
yeah.
again, like
Mhm.
you know, eh, like of course, like what I tell people, like like I'm one of those people too, right? That I don't like to talk about politics like out in the general world because um it's a little bit uncomfortable because like we just talked about in the beginning of our discussion, you cannot
Mhm.
have a reasonable discussion with someone.
Yeah.
People like will start to raise their voice, to get very emotional, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's fine, yeah, like like stand up for what you believe in,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to have a decent conversation with someone. Nah, I don't want it to become a screaming match.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and I'd like to have those conversations.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be on this specific call because even till today, like I think I still have a lot to learn about politics. Like,
Mhm.
like where how decisions are made, how do we come to conclusions? Like there's a lot of questions that even to this day I'm not really well educated on them.
But here's the thing, man, is that I feel that you can get to know all the insides and outs of a business, but there's always gonna be a hidden door or a hidden window where a decision is gonna be like squeezed into the mix that is gonna um alter the the decision of, of whatever they decide, man. Because like, all right, a few years ago when Bush was running against, I believe, Al Gore, like, wasn't there a scandal in Florida that supposedly, like, in I don't know, like, in some
Oh,
office,
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
some
yeah,
votes were
yeah.
missing,
I think I
you know
saw
man?
this in the documentary. I can't remember the name of the documentary.
Because
I think
they
it's
even,
Fahrenheit 9/11.
okay,
I think
okay,
that's the one
yeah,
with Mr. Moore.
okay, yeah. I haven't seen it, but I'm sure it's that because
Yeah,
they even.
and supposedly that he didn't really win, but since Fox News announced that he won, that he must have won.
Yeah,
Was it
okay.
Fox? I can't remember, but
Yeah, Fox is right wing Republican, so they're gonna hoorah rah their own people, you know. But it just goes to show you, dude. The hypocrisy, the inequality that exists in in the U.S. government. because if you remember, I don't know if you saw the movie Scare Movie 2, but they actually had a scene where
Barely remember it, but yeah.
okay. Well, they had a scene where they got trapped inside like a furnace, and they like somebody pulled like a piece of cardboard, and that cardboard was like the header with the label that said like Florida ballots from from like the Bush administration.
Okay, yeah, I
You
don't
know,
remember that at all.
oh, dude, like later on, I'm gonna look up on YouTube and I'll see in the clip. But
Okay.
um, but yeah, so that happened, right? And okay, who was the governor of Florida in that time? Jeb Bush. So Bush's older, younger brother. You know, dude.
Okay.
So come on, dude. Dude, like you're honestly gonna tell me with a straight face, dude, that wasn't like criminal, that wasn't illegal, like out of all places, like oh Florida, where your brother's from, like your brother looks out for you,
Hmm.
and like like that determines like the winning vote and makes you the president.
I'm not sure, honestly. Like I said, like I think there's a lot of opportunities to learn more about politics, and that's one thing that I never really like. I knew I heard of it, right? Because
Mhm.
I saw that documentary, but I never really like looked more into it.
Yeah.
Maybe I should. Maybe, like I should look in more into it, and I didn't, unfortunately.
I mean, that's all right, man. Because at the end of the day, bro, like, dude, we're each living our own lives. You know, like we have responsibilities. I don't think politics should be the number one thing on our to-do list. You know, so
Right.
like we need to get stuff done.
I mean, for me, one of the things that really drives home sometimes is,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very analytical person. I
Mm-hmm.
like facts and I like science with facts, and I just want to know like what is the truth. And I guess especially with politics, like I just give people the benefit of the doubt because I don't know what the media is portraying versus what is
Mm-hmm.
the actual truth. Like I think that's something that I struggle with a lot, and I'm not sure if anybody else does, but like for me, I do struggle with that sometimes. I see what the news is showing me,
Mm-hmm.
and then I might see some contradictions on the different channel. So I'm like, well, which is it?
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, bro, that's the news. Like that's a game, because you're gonna have your conservative news channel, which in this case would be Fox News.
Right.
That's very right wing, very pro America, pro conservative. I mean, yeah, pro conservative. Like we want things to keep going the way we've been doing it since day one. And you have CNN, which is left, liberal, fake news, how you want to call it. They just distort the news. And like, dude, it's been proven, bro. And this happens in any news regarding anything, whether it be
Mm-hmm.
politics, sports, uh, dude, anything, video games, anything, dude. Man, like, dude, journalism has died.
Hmm.
I mean, there are some like up and coming and some like old school journalists that still like would like to deliver the real news, but unfortunately because they're being paid and they're hired by these fast I mean these chains of news sources, man, like they have to go along with the script that they are provided by the producers.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to say this. Like wait, but this is not going on. Like no. You have to say this because we need to scare people into thinking that this is what's going on.
I
You
see.
know, and it's sad, bro. Because honestly, like I think the last resource we have as a common person is YouTube. But with YouTube, like there's some people out there because of their platform, because of the way they deliver the news or the way they express themselves, is that they they get a following of people and then they start distorting the news. They start saying like, oh, you know what? Let me take advantage. Like I have all these followers following me. Like let me start, like pushing in my own beliefs, my own agenda, and that's how you corrupt the minds of people that are not that mentally strong to decipher, saying
Mm,
like, hey, you know what, this is BS. You know, it's like he's lying.
I see.
You know, and honestly, dude, like to me that's why I really like to watch the Joe Rogan Experience, because he he's like the well that I know, he's like the only reliable source that brings out um, guests to really say what's really going on, you know.
Mm,
And I
okay.
and I can understand why people, you know, they don't really take him serious because of the tattoos, because he's bald, because of his physical appearance. And there we go again, you know, with tribalism. Just because he doesn't fit your criteria, like you automatically shut him down. You know, like you ain't trying to hear that. You know, dude. But dude, he's had guests that me personally, I've learned so much about different things, and it's made me like open my eyes to like live life a different way than I was living a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you know. and
Got it.
and I'm like, and I'm grateful, you know, because like I remember I used to be a very like civil negative person, you know, like I always used to see like the bad things of like situations, like, oh, like why does this keep happening to me? Like I learned my lesson, like I'm not repeating the same mistakes, but like I don't know what it was, but I was stuck in a hole. But after listening to him, after listening to like his guest saying like, hey, you need to stop feeling sorry for yourself. You need to start, like looking at what you're doing. You know, because I don't know if you know the movie director. His name is Guy Ritchie, and he said, um,
Sounds very familiar.
yeah, he's. I don't know if you saw the movie Fight Club with Brad Pitt and Edward
Yeah.
Norton.
Yeah, I saw.
Okay, okay. Well, he directed the movie. I'm pretty sure he did. I might be mistaken, but I'm certain that he did. Um, he said that in this life you have to make decisions in a way that you know that you're going to get a bad outcome or you're going to get a good outcome. You know,
Mm,
so basically, what he was trying to say is that you have to be mindful of any decision that you make. It's going to have either a negative or a positive outcome, just the way you do it. You know, like let's say for example, you're trying to, you're trying to improve your health. So what do? Like you work out, right? So you have to work out, you have to eat right, you have to get your rest, you have to sacrifice, and at the end of the day, like the only person you're fooling, if you say that, if you started off 1 week doing 20 push-ups every day,
right.
and then let's say the next week, like, yeah, like you start feeling the effects on your body, you start getting tired, you start being exhausted. So like now, like you're not going to push yourself. You're going to become stagnant. You're going to become lazy, and you're only going to fool yourself in saying like, oh, like I promised myself, when I first started that I really wanted to take this serious, but you let yourself go for that one day, and that one day, like if you don't pick yourself up, like it's going to continue to that 1 week, and the next week, and the following, and the following week, until you
Mm,
just stop. And what's going to happen is you're going to start back in square one. You're going to feel bad about yourself. You're going to start thinking negative again. Why? Because you fell into that hole again. Why? Because you didn't take things serious.
I see what you're saying.
It's like you can give yourself breaks, but you can't. You just can't become stagnant. You have to keep moving. you know
Right.
like if you're tired, get your rest, but hey, the next day, let's go. Keep going at it, keep going at it, because if you get off that hamster wheel, that's it. Like you're gonna get tired, and it's gonna take some time in order to get that inertia back and get things flowing.
Right.
So that's basically what I'm saying, man, is that like if you want to make a change, then you have to be honest with yourself and truly dedicate yourself day in day out. You're gonna have some bad days, you're gonna have some good days, but you have to have a goal set in your mind, in order for you to like not fall into the cracks, dude. You know.
I know it's not easy, and I'm sure people are probably going to tell us that's easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the way I do it every day is I literally just, I mean, besides work is different. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things I have to do for work, and I just
Mm-hmm.
literally keep a task list like on the side, things that
Mm-hmm.
can wait, things that can't wait. But for my personal life, um, I just tell myself if I could just do this one thing today, I would have been productive.
Yeah.
I
Dude.
just tell myself one thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
whether it's
Exactly.
going out for a run to lose
Mm-hmm.
weight.
Mm-hmm.
That was my one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or I need to read another 2 chapters of this book or
Mm-hmm.
listen to this next 2 chapters of this audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
Just give yourself one thing. And I think as long as you do one thing per day, well, it adds up, right? In increments.
Absolutely. Like you build momentum, and that momentum, like you're gonna start looking at things differently. Like you're gonna be able to see changes, and the moment you see those changes, like I'm for certain that it's just gonna illuminate your mind and say, hey, this is really working. What I'm doing is working. Like I just gotta keep at it, and that's how you change your perception. that
Right.
that that's how you start seeing like the positive side of things, saying like, hey, you know what, yeah, it's tough work, but hey, like I kept at it. I didn't quit. Like, yeah, I have my bad days, but like, hey, I kept coming. The next day, boom boom, even harder.
You know what? Like I mentioned earlier that I used to have a pretty bad attitude when we were like really young.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it seems like a long time ago now. But no, yeah, I had a very pessimistic attitude. I just had a bad attitude. I was not
Mm-hmm.
very positive. I was stressed, whether it was money or I think it was an overload of things I had to do. Like the pressure's on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And man, we could dive into this so deep. Like honestly, it just like once I found out I was going to be a dad,
Mm-hmm.
I knew I had to make some changes with my attitude, with the way I looked at things. And honestly, it was every single day I was listening to um, these audio recordings on how to be more productive,
Mm-hmm.
how I can change that productivity into like something more positive. And I just did a little bit of that every day.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it just meant reading a book. Like I'm sure some of our listeners here know this book, but it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. That was one of the first books that I read that I legit just, it wasn't an assignment from school. I just read it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And books like that, little by little, I started realizing how to better socialize with people, how to talk to people, and how to be more positive. And yeah, it was really hard actually. How to
Yeah,
use different words. Oh, that's awesome, man. I never used to say that. Think about it back in high school. Did I ever say that? No.
I don't think I heard you say that.
Maybe like once, but like now it
Yeah.
became like 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 for my team that works for me, like for example, I always tell them, hey man, good job. Like you have to give people kudos, be more positive. You represent the culture that you're bringing into the environment.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a key aspect in in building relationships, building bonds, and just all in all, just having
Right.
like a good work environment. Like you have to you have to pretty much take your coworkers as like a distant family. I mean,
Yeah.
not
Oh no,
not
it's not so far off. Like
uh-huh.
um there have been some coworkers, like even now that I don't work in some of these companies anymore, but there are some people that I've made some really close friendships.
Hmm.
I could legit say, hey man, I really miss working with this person. Like it really made me feel like it was the home away from home. Like
Yeah.
I didn't dread going to work. Like,
Hmm.
hey man, how you been? And then
Hmm.
of course you'll always have your coworkers you just never you'll never talk to. So probably find you annoying.
Oh, dude, yeah. No, no. I mean, I understand, bro, that you're not gonna have the same relationship with everybody that you work with, and
Nah.
that's, you know what, that's fine. Like, don't sweat it. don't break your head saying like, oh my god, this person does like nothing, you know, because there's only so much you can do to like be cool with people, you know, and that's it, you know. There's gonna be some
Got
people
it.
that are gonna be like, oh, you know what, I don't like the way Andy does this because like I feel that he talks to us like he knows more than us, you know. Like I'm sure that people have felt that way, you know, when
I'm
about
sure.
you,
I'm
right?
sure. Like as a technical person, like I have my certain ways of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I, as much as possible, I don't want to be Andy the dictator and say, well, this is the right way to do it. No, there's
Mm-hmm.
several ways how to do something. And
Mm-hmm.
I've always asked my team, like, like the many different teams I've had throughout the years,
Mm-hmm.
I've always asked, like, just so you know, like I would love some constructive criticism my way too. Like, like I think I'm a lot more laid back than what I used to be. I
Mm-hmm.
think in the beginning I used to be very like, well, like I do it this way, you need to do it the same way too,
Mm-hmm.
or at least come to the agreement that, well, this is the process we wrote together. That's what we should do. But like I said, like I always try to get constructive feedback from my team,
Mm-hmm.
because I never want to be the dictator. It's just like, unless there's something ethically wrong with it, and then I'll say
Yeah,
something for sure. Like, yeah,
yeah.
that's morally wrong.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's dude, it's crazy, man. We just went into this like whole different tangent. You know, we never really
But
finished the whole the Trump situation, Trump Biden situation right now. So
you know what?
uh
I don't know if we'll have enough time for the call. It's already been like over an hour and 20 minutes.
uh
We can definitely say that for another day. But yeah, the whole Trump and Biden thing, honestly,
well, hey,
I'm just
let's
laying back and just watching the show, honestly.
let's do these 15 minutes, you know, and let's just
That's fair.
let's finish off with this. Okay. All
Okay.
right. Okay. Um, you know what, man? Yeah. Right now, that's all it is. It's a show. You know,
Hmm.
this is again 2016 all over again. Like I said,
I mean, don't get me
it's
wrong. Like, I
mhm,
definitely don't want it to be a show either. I know I chuckle about it.
mhm,
I don't think that our country is a joke. I just, and I really hope people know that.
mhm,
It's not that we see it as a joke. It's just, when I travel and I go to different places outside of the U.S., like people just look at us like we're just a
mhm,
big joke. It sounds terrible,
mhm,
and like I think someone told me this, like I think after a year that Trump got elected,
mhm,
maybe people wouldn't perceive him the way they do.
mhm,
Maybe if he just had a little bit more, how do you explain this? Like the way he presents himself.
mhm,
Like I've seen every other president that we've had,
mhm.
throughout my lifetime, and they've always like the way they acted and presented themselves. Like
Right.
that's
The
the
way they
president.
conduct themselves.
Thank you. The way they
Yeah.
conduct
Yeah.
themselves. Like you knew that
Exactly. Yeah.
was the president, and I think
Mhm,
like I said, I don't think I think I'm not as educated enough in politics as I should be.
mhm,
Um, like I see all the things that Trump does.
mhm,
Like again, it's hard for me, like as a person, to distinguish from the media. Like, is what he's doing really a good thing, or is it
mhm,
a bad thing? Is it for self gain? I don't know. Right? I think there's. I mean, I think we can't cover over 50. I mean, in 15 minutes, we can't cover the last 4 years of Trump's presidency. But like honestly, like I just wish there was an easy medium, like an
mhm,
easy form of communication. Like you just mentioned, you like Joe Rogan, right?
mhm,
And because like the perception for you is that the information you're getting from that show is fact, like right.
yeah. Yeah.
So like
Exactly.
I wish there was an easy medium for us to absorb information and just say, like, it doesn't have to be Trump, by the way. It could be any president. It could have been
Mhm,
Obama or Bush. Like, but I wish there was an easy medium to explain to the people,
mhm,
like, this is fact. what this is how this affects you,
Mhm.
right? Like, because I don't know sometimes, right? I have to like, I have to go through my Facebook and open 10 different articles just to get like a little bit grain of salt.
See, but there you go. There you go. 10 different articles. See, that's what I'm saying.
I'm
Is
sorry, it's
that
the truth.
yeah?
I don't fully comprehend sometimes like the decisions that are made.
Mhm.
Like like okay, like Trump just signed an executive order, right?
Mhm.
You know, for unemployment benefits and to defer the student loans. I forgot what the other one was, but like just at a glance, like okay, it's it's a good thing. There's people out of work. There's people who can't pay their loans. From our perspective, it seems like he's doing a good thing.
Mhm.
But like, I guess like in those hundreds of pages that are being signed, I don't know if it's hundreds of pages. Just
Mhm.
assuming that.
Yeah.
But like, what are I guess what I want to know is like just without having to dig into so much information, wouldn't it just be great to have an avenue where you could see like this is the positive and this is the negative of what's just signed?
See, but that's logical, and that's the issue here is that these people are not logical. They just want to confuse the people so they can get away with doing what they've been doing behind closed doors. That's why I do. There's always an issue with transparency.
I guess
It's like,
that's down. I just want transparency.
but you know what? Like honestly, bro, like that's a lot to ask for.
I shouldn't have to like
It's not, but
read a
that's a lot.
book to figure
Mhm.
out what were the new laws applied this week. Actually, you
Mhm.
know what? Like something that catches me off guard when I go on YouTube and like people get in trouble with the law for some reason and say, well, that's the law. Like, oh, you know what? Where do you go read that? like,
Yeah.
like again, like I have to go look for it.
Mhm.
And it'd just be great if there was like an avenue where you could receive information and what you're reading is easy to understand. You don't need a PhD to figure out what you're reading. And two,
Mhm.
it's in an easy format for you to get this information.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
you know, maybe someone out there should make a nice blog. This is this week's laws affecting the nation. Yeah, that'd be great. Maybe there is one, and maybe somebody could post in the comments like, "What is that?" So,
I mean, maybe it is, man, but I just don't see people that really want to take that risk and putting that bullseye in on their back, saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna run a website or a YouTube video where I'm
but
gonna
that's the thing,
expose the
though.
truth."
It shouldn't even be a risk. It should just be like
I mean, just
this is
look
the
at Edward
public
Snowden, dude.
knowledge. This is
But
public. This is public. Oh, that's a whole different.
no.
Yeah,
But check this out. He actually, to me, dude, he
right.
actually did a good thing. Which was, hey, he told the general public like, yo, they're reading our phone call. I mean, they're listening to our phone calls. They're reading our texts, reading our emails. They know our bank account information. They know our personal information. They know our health information. They know all this, bro.
Well, that's the
And
thing. So that okay. So you brought up a great topic, right? And I'm a technical person. Right? I'm in IT,
mhm,
and like the again, I wish there was an easy way for us to digest this information and to really know what is what. Like,
mhm,
who exactly is taking this information and for what purpose? Like, right? I mean, I've had this conversation come up before with other people, and they ask me, "Well, how do you feel that you basically have a recording device in your phone?" I'm like, "I'm going to use my phone." So,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know what? If you want to GPS track me, go ahead, man. Like, I just, like, I just want to use my phone for you too. I mean, people say, like, oh, you have to like watch out for your privacy and all this stuff. I'm like guy, like as soon as you got your phone, like, I've already accepted it. Maybe I'm sure it's a bad thing, but
Mhm,
like I've already accepted it that with my cell phone, these EULAs that I accept from Google and these other apps, and like, man, who knows what they're tracking? Or they could say that they're not doing anything to your privacy, How do I know that? I'm not looking into the source code of their software. I can't really
Mhm.
tell what they're actually looking at.
Yeah.
Like I think at that point, like it should just be at a person's discretion what you actually put on your phone and what do you put online.
Hmm.
Like because my phone, all I have on there is like my YouTube app and some games on there and my email, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I think like I mean, like what happened to Edward
Hmm.
Snowden. Like
Yeah.
honestly, like I think it's up to everybody at their own discretion to like just like take at face value what he said. I
Hmm.
can't. I can't verify whether any of that's true or not. But like, just take it at face value and just it's at your discretion what you put on your phone,
Hmm.
on your computer. So I'm sure there's backdoors to everything. Honestly,
I mean, there has to, dude, because I mean, it's electronically, bro. Like we're right now we're using Comcast,
yeah,
so like they're watching this shit,
of course they are. Man. I'm sure they
you
are.
know. And I'm
I
sure
don't
that
really care.
they're
I
probably
mean,
shaking their heads. They're like, "Damn, they know too much. They're making too much
like at
sense."
the end of the day, like the only point of our podcast is to give out a simple message. And then this one is for people to communicate more. Like we discussed a little bit of politics, we discussed the looting, we discussed just living your everyday life here in Chicago. And at the end of the day, like people just don't talk to one another. It's just arguments come first.
Mhm.
Maybe fisticup second.
It's because everybody is just trying to fight. They're just trying to prove a point that, oh, I'm smarter than you, I'm tougher than you.
It
Like
doesn't have to be
I
that way. We just have to talk to one another.
it doesn't, but this is society, bro. Society is, oh, if I bark, if I'm louder, if I'm
Well,
tougher, if I'm
well, let me tell you
like
this though. Like how many times is history going to keep repeating itself? How many wars have we had in humanity?
hey,
How many
until
times
we
have
learn,
people killed each other over their beliefs over and over again?
dude.
We
I
can't just
know.
seem to I love how Jackie Chan said this one time in one of
Mm-hmm.
his movies. It was Rumble in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
He went to like the hideout of the bad guys, and they had this huge fight. And then towards the end of the fight, Jackie says, "I hope the next time we see each other, we'll be having tea together." Meaning, the next time we see each other, we're just gonna talk instead
Yeah,
of fight.
right.
And that's so true, man. It just all it needs is just a decent conversation. But yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get to that point.
We,
But that's the message out there.
we
People
need
talk to
we
one
need
another.
love, man.
Need
We need
love.
love. We need love. We need to be empathetic towards each other, man. We need to just be. We need to respect one another, bro. You need to respect life, at any stage, and
Right.
you got to be less cunty.
Right. That's funny. All right. So we still got a couple minutes left here in our call. Is there anything else you want to touch up on before we end the call?
Uh, I just want to say that I don't know if we're gonna get pulled off of YouTube if you do decide to put this on YouTube because I said cunt the second time
Oh, maybe
and
we can bleep that out.
has to be
Honestly, that's
organic.
probably something we should look into is what you
Uh,
can and can't put on YouTube. Like
uh,
again, like everyone, we just did this very impromptu. Um, just to give the viewers like a little taste of what we do want to bring. Like I said,
mm.
we do want to cover a huge range of conversations. There's a lot of things we want to cover. It's not just politics, it's not just society. There's other topics we want to discuss too.
I don't
Um,
know, man. I mean, yes, but I'm very adamant in talking about life here in Chicago right now
oh
because
yeah, of course. I mean, everything we're going to talk about
it's
anyways happened to us in Chicago.
it's just ridiculous, bro. I mean, what's going on? It's ridiculous. Oh, quick. I
All
wanted
right.
to get your point of view in this.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
What do you think about Lori Lightfoot not using the National Guard that Trump has? Well, Trump has pretty much told us like, hey, how many guards do you need? Basically, you know, short and simple. But Lori Lightfoot has
So here's
disregarded.
my perspective as
Uh
a
huh.
citizen of the city.
Hmm.
Um, Not taking into account what happened this past Sunday night,
Mm-hmm.
I'm referring to the looting that happened a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
The perception of me and the rest of the people in our neighborhood was that there were not enough police to protect Chicago
Mm-hmm.
because the looting was getting way out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like I told you, like I was looking at our group online, and I think everyone was mentally prepared for people to start breaking into houses. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
it did happen in one house. There was this one house by Western and 71st.
Mm-hmm.
They broke into the poor guy's house and they shot him as soon as they entered the door.
Wow,
So
that's sad.
we can't say it didn't happen. It
Mm-hmm.
did happen. It just didn't happen at a mass scale. And there were
Mm-hmm.
some other houses they got broken into. There was one close to Pulaski 55th. A house got broken into.
Mm-hmm.
How they made that decision to pick that house, who knows? I don't have a good perspective on that. But my question would really go to, like, some of the police officers. Like, how do they feel about this? Like, do they want the National Guard? Do they feel that they have everything under control? Because, like, when the looting was happening a couple months ago, like, it was my perception that it's not that they were not doing a good job. They're doing a good job. They're doing, I think, the best they can. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't think there were enough officers
Mm-hmm.
to get the whole situation under control. Because it was crazy. Like, you see the group chats in Chicago. I feel like it was kind of a coordinated effort at some point. There must have been some secret group chat or something like, all right, we hit up this place. Now let's go here next. And then let's go
Twitter.
here. And then the
Yeah.
police are just playing the cops and robbers, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're just trying to chase the people as they move from group to group, from place to place.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, honestly, like, as far as Trump and our mayor, I really don't know. I can't tell if it's politics or ego, or like, I don't really know what's going on behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do know is, if it's getting to a point that we just don't have enough, like, just bodies, we just don't have enough bodies. When I mean we just don't have enough police, well, of course, yeah, to me it makes logical sense to bring the National Guard to just protect the citizens and protect the property that's in Chicago, because like, the damage is done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, of course, that's the police's job to help secure our city. But if there's just are not enough police, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, if we're outnumbered, then yeah, bring the National Guard to just keep an eye on things.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I told you before, that a couple months ago, what did I see? I saw nothing but a bunch of mom and pop shops with the owners of their businesses standing outside of the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
They were ready to defend their business,
Mm-hmm.
like, violently if necessary. And
Oh yeah.
that scared me, because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you are not about to lose your life for this business. And then I thought about it. Well, poor people, this is their job. They have
Yeah.
nothing
That,
else.
that's their livelihood, bro.
That is their
You know?
livelihood, right? It's not like they have to, I'll just go to work tomorrow. That is their livelihood. They have nothing else.
Exactly, and you know what? And to add to that is that, all right, these department stores, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, all these stores, like, they're financially backed by insurance companies. Like, dude,
I'm sure they are.
all
At least I hope they are, right?
no, I mean, dude, they are. But the thing is, dude, is that the insurances, they're like, all these companies, they're gonna collect money from the insurances, like, right then and there.
Yeah,
Like,
but what about the poor people who
it,
couldn't show up to
it,
work?
I mean, yeah, that too. But these small businesses, these like mom and pop shops, bro, dude, they're not, I mean, if their business is destroyed, dude, they're not gonna see a nickel from the insurance companies within the month, or within 2 months, within 3 months. Dude, it's gonna be a hassle. It's gonna be a tug of war between the small shops against the insurance companies, dude. And, like, it just shows you again the inequality of being the big honcho and being some small guy on the side.
Well, it's unfortunate too, because I remember when that was happening, there were a couple of owners that went on TV, and they said they actually begged the looters to please not loot me.
Mm-hmm.
They actually admitted to the looters, I don't have insurance. Can you just spare me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is all I have left.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't matter. Still went in there, took everything.
Hey, but Black Lives Matter though. That's so ignorant.
I honestly, like I said, of course, like what happened there is tragic.
Yeah,
I just don't know if looting has anything to do with it or should be part of it.
it's
Like
not,
like what
dude.
happened this Monday that I know of. No one really announced that the looting had anything to do with Black Lives Matter. I think it just happened out of nowhere. Like I told you, I was not expecting it.
Yeah,
So I know of, I don't think Black Lives Matter has anything to do with the looting on Monday. So at least I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, yeah, I don't think so either. I just, I mean, right now I'm just thinking to myself like, hey, is this like, when is this gonna happen again? Like, is this gonna happen in September? Like, is this gonna be going and is this gonna be an ongoing thing?
I have no
From
idea.
here to December, from here to like the end of time. Too, it's like, when are we gonna go back to things being to normal? Not how things were before, but just things being to normal. Like, when?
It's gonna be a while. At least maybe another half a year.
Wow.
That's assuming there's a vaccine.
Yeah.
That's how it is, man. Hey, as long as we're alive, we're healthy, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. That's all that matters, man.
Cool.
That's all that matters.
All right. So I think that's all we got for tonight, everyone. Keep in touch. And yeah, catch you next time.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night.